Hello and welcome back to another day of charting. My name is Justin, and today we're going to be reviewing the 2s, 10s yields invert for the first time since 2019. We're going to talk about how a recession usually follows 9 to 12 months after. But in the meantime, there's usually a violent rally and the markets go higher. There's also some peace talks, and then we're going to circle back and talk about a few other things. But the key takeaway for today is that this still seems like a bear trap. Why? We are closing on highs, and there is no alternative. So let's jump straight in. What I want to point out here is that the 210 yield curve is what everyone talks about when they say there is yield curve inversion. So we can note here that the 10-year note is currently at about 2.389, and over here we got the 2-year note at 2.363. And it temporarily inverted, which means that it temporarily was higher on the 2-year note than it was on the 10-year note. And the reason why this matters is because if you're paid more to hold on for 2 years, why would you want to hold on for 10? And that's what we're seeing on the tape here. So I would also note that this is not the end all be all. The saying is that every recession is followed by yield curve inversion, but not every yield curve inversion leads to a recession, which means that this is not a guarantee, and everyone's watching it. And when we're looking at 9 to 12 months out, we got Bill Dudley, who used to be the recession usually follows 9 to 12 months out. Today, Bill Dudley is telling us that the Fed has made a U.S. recession inevitable, but he doesn't say when. So again, Jerome Powell is far too optimistic about the chances of a soft landing. The reason why Bill Dudley matters is because he used to be the New York Fed chair. And again, remembering that John Williams currently fills that role, and the chair, the vice chair, and the New York governor usually form the troika, or the three most important people at the Fed, which means Bill Dudley's a pretty smart guy. He was a very important figure at the Fed when he was there. And I believe, like I've said before, the reason why we're seeing inflation is because the Fed's actually been fighting for inflation for more than a decade, and now they got it. So it's a case of be careful what you wish for. It's also very important to note that there's a lot of debt in the world. We can note here that just the U.S. national debt is at 30 trillion, right? All these numbers are huge, right? Total debt's at 90 trillion. So I believe that what we've talked about briefly before is that people just can't afford to pay their bills. And we know that because there was an article that came out talking about how just 39% of Americans could pay for a $1,000 emergency expense. So at a high level, that's what we're talking about in terms of the 210 yield curve inverting. It inverted temporarily, and then it did get smoothed out. And a recession usually follows 9 to 12 months out. And now we're going to talk about how Apple has had its longest winning streak since 2003. That's right. We're going all the way back to 2003. Also, just a quick note that the reason why there is no face today is because the videos have been taking a very long time to process to high definition. And we're going to try to get the videos out a little bit sooner this week, which means we're going to do it without the face. And maybe starting next week, when everything's back to being fast and smooth, we will switch that back over. I also forgot to talk about this. There are some peace talks. We haven't had actual resolution yet, but this largely ties into the narrative that we were talking about. We continue to climb the wall of worry, and Apple is just a stud. It is incredible. It has gone up straight for 11 sessions. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 straight days, and it is damn near close to that $3 trillion mark again, which means the $3 trillion level is on watch. And we're almost within a whisker of getting to that all-time high here. So again, 1 test, 2 tests. Oh my goodness, we're getting up for that 3rd test here. That usually leads to the breakout and for us to go higher. This looks really good. And we know that Warren Buffett is no stranger to buying the stock. Remembering that when the stock had some pressure going into last year, part of the reason why was, again, in hindsight, when we looked at those 13F filings, was that Warren Buffett was selling. So into I believe it was this period here going into here. He was selling somewhere in this pocket, so he regrets it. It would have been worth a lot more now, but everyone wants Apple, and good news can't take it down. Good news makes it go up. So what's very interesting here, as a follow-up to what we talked about yesterday, was just that this is its longest winning streak since 2003. It has added on an incredible amount of market cap. Roughly 20%, or about, I don't know, what's 2.5 trillion times 0.2, right? A cool $500 billion, half a Tesla. That is truly impressive. And the reason why it continues to be particularly strong is because it closed at the high. So it's actually gapping and going now. There's a gap left on the chart, and it's actually at the high of the session. So what that means is that Apple has never been more bullish than it was at the close. That is incredible. And it's closing on highs. Why? There is no alternative. You want a nice phone? You're buying an iPhone. Now let's have a look at Tesla again. Why? Well, because we talked about this one too. So looking over here, what do we have? Oh my goodness. It closed up by 0.71, but it's a red candle because we closed lower than we opened. We opened here at, again, you can look up here at these numbers if you want to see them. We opened at 1107.99, and we are closing at 1099.57. What's more important for me than the opening and close is just the trend. It's still up. We got a higher high and a higher low. It is pointing up. Where do you think it's going to want to go? The path of least resistance is up. Just looking here at these two as well, we can look here at the 1 week chart. And for me, I'm noticing that this 3 week candle formation looks very similar to this one here. So is that going to lead to, again, a retest of a new all-time high? I don't know, but Tesla seems very, very strong. We can also look over here at Apple and see that we got 3 white soldiers. Oh my goodness, 3 white soldiers, and we're within 2% of the all-time high. Let's go, Apple. Let's do it. Let's get to that all-time high. Not that much more to go. So what the title of the video says is that you want to do this now. And what I would highly suggest is that you understand where you're right, where you're wrong. And if you're still fighting the tape, there is nothing closing at the low. Look at S&P. Again, 3 white soldiers, right? What do we got? We got a close at the high. Let's look at QQQ. Oh, wow. Closing at the high. You got it. Let's look at BTC. Closing at the high. Nice. Up again today. ETH. Closing at the high. Right around it. Almost got to 3,500, and it's backing off slightly. So the reason why I say you need to do this now is because we looked at these things here. We're going to close them out. Let's look at the heat map really briefly here. Again, one day we got breadth, we got depth, and energy is red. That is perfect for us. Again, healthcare is down, which has been doing quite well. And some of the value stocks like Berkshire Hathaway are actually losing, which means growth is back in play. And looking at the 1 week performance, again, bright green for Apple, bright green for Tesla. Why? They're leaders. Who are the strong stocks? The $1 trillion ones. Apple going back to green. Amazon going back to green on the year. Facebook up 5. Google up 4. Microsoft up 4. Let's look at year to date. So we've only just recently seen these names go back to green. I'm talking about Amazon, Tesla. Who's going to join next? Probably Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Facebook. That's what we're watching for to confirm the move higher. And we're within 1 point. Let me just refresh and make sure we're not actually there. So we're at 55. When we get to 56, we're back into greed. And it's notable that when we look back here, 1 year ago, 1 month ago, 1 week ago, and yesterday, we were either fearful or neutral. This will be the first time we are going to be inside of greed. And what? Closing on highs, because there is no alternative. So whether or not we got this 210s yield curve inverted, for me, it does not particularly matter. It is a leading indicator. How far ahead it is leading, we do not know. And in the meantime, do you want to keep fighting the trend, or do you want to make money? That's what we keep talking about. Do you want to be right, or do you want to make money? So since we're aiming for a shorter video this week, for today, I want to point out 2 more things. So we talked about how, let's go back to here actually. So we talked about how S&P is closing at the high. We talk about QQQ closing at the high. I also want to talk about some of the early signals that I personally look for to know that we are actually going to be going even higher. So there's something that we're going to be sharing soon here publicly. I'm going to do it today. When we launch our new platform, I'm going to be sharing my S&P levels going forward. You're not going to get our targets or my notes in terms of how to action them, but we can note here that my resistance 3 is up here at 460. And that is the beginning of the January 18th sell-off. We closed above 460. Not only did we test 460 today, we back tested and then advanced. We did the same thing at 454 yesterday. We test 454, we back off, and then we close higher. So in my opinion, the bulls have scored a touchdown. So whatever happens between now and Friday, the bulls have already scored. They got points on the board. Where we go from here, I don't entirely know. But in terms of support and resistance, we're right here at the top end of resistance. And what I shared on Slack yesterday was that for us to have a normal, healthy market, we want to see chips leading tech, tech leading SPY. So we can look over here at SOXX and see that, woof, right? It's up 3% on the week, 3 white soldiers. It looks good. It's right at the high of the week here. It is leading. We'll look over here at, is that 3% on the week or 3% on the day? 2.2% on the day, 3% on the week. Nice. Look over here at QQQ, and on the day, we are up by 1.7, and on the week, we are up by 3.2. So on the day, chips are leading tech, and tech is up 2%. And S&P is up, how much is S&P up today? S&P is up by 1.2, which means that we're still seeing that leadership emerge here with technology. So chips are at the high. QQQ is at the high. We're all over the 50 MA. We all have 3 white soldiers. S&P at the high. So what I mean by these is that when all these charts are closing out right here at the high, we only have 2 more days left for the close of the month. Remember, Thursday is the last calendar day of the month. So if we're at the high of the week, it means we're set for a high of the week close as well. The 2 sectors that I've been noticing have not been participating that I would expect to have been the Russell and ARK. And for today, on the day, we see the Russell up 2.7%, gap and go. Incredible. That is so good. So we look here and note that the Russell is now actually starting to catch a bid. So we can note that by, again, it's also here at the high of the week. We don't have 3 white soldiers, but we do have lower wicks, which means dip buying. So the fact that we're now seeing crypto risk on, we're seeing AMC and GME go risk on. Again, it's still up 45% on the week. GME here, it's still up 18% on the week. So are they at the high? Not quite, but they're still going risk on. BTC, risk on. ETH, risk on. IWM, risk on. And now looking over here at ARK, again, this one had an incredible day today. So we look here at the one-day performance. It's up an impressive 6.5%. So what this means for me, to wrap this up, make sure you understand, is that the safest assets are going to lead. That's going to be Apple and Tesla, which we clearly noted. They've been going up. Apple has had a record winning streak in almost 20 years. If you don't think that's impressive, I don't know what to tell you. 2003 was also the beginning of an incredible run for stocks. So we saw leaders lead, followers follow. Why? There is no alternative. And now we're going into the greedy part of the market where it'll be easier to go higher than it will to be lower. And seeing BTC, ARK, IWM all follow gives me quite a bit of confidence that there are more legs to this rally. So let's go forward and just wrap this up to make sure we know what we are looking for the rest of the week. Our key dates are, what day is it today? Is it Wednesday or Thursday? I forget. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention too that today is the only non-options expiry day. Non-OPEX days, right? Only non-OPEX day is today. So we are going to have our Wednesday expiry tomorrow, the quarterly expiry on Thursday, and then we have our normal Friday expiry on Friday, which means today was the only day for them to smooth out those chains. And there was heavy activity, 50,000 plus in volume for 460 for Friday. So the only non-OPEX day, there's no major data point going into tomorrow. What's likely going to drive us? Geopolitical headlines out of Europe. So there's nothing coming out, but on Thursday we have initial jobless claims, quarterly rebalancing and options expiry, and then the big day is on Friday. Flipping over here to our bull and bear, again, monthly bottoms in. Not only did we put the monthly bottom in, we are at the high. We had more Fed speakers talking today, and again, even the former New York Fed chair, Bill Dudley, he said recession's imminent. Inevitable. He didn't say it's imminent, meaning it's going to happen tomorrow, but he doesn't see any way they're not going to be able to do it, thinking that Jerome Powell is too optimistic. But again, literally, what else? We also saw the initial risk-on sentiment when we heard about some potential peace talks happening in Ukraine. And the reason why that matters is because we talked about this on the weekend, talked about it yesterday. We're going to see that meeting between EU and China happening on Friday. So if we are seeing some potential rumblings and posturing before Friday, I believe that if these talks go well between EU and China, we are set for a massive risk-on move where we go into greed and everyone starts buying. The cash on the sidelines goes back in. In terms of the bears, again, we're leaving gaps on the chart now, so those gaps will get filled. When? I don't know. Maybe tomorrow on Red Wednesday. Maybe on Thursday, quarterly expiry. I don't know. But if we go down and the gap just fills, unless we print a lower low on the daily, I believe this is going to be a bear trap. Why? Again, one more time, looking here at our quarterly chart for S&P, what we're going to be looking for is the potential for a gap down pump up. The last 2 quarters that we had here, again, going back to 2020 and 2018 and 2020 into the new quarter, which is going to be Friday, we gap down, pump up, gap down, pump up. So I don't know if that's going to happen again, but it could be a strong possibility. We're clearly doing pretty good here on the quarter too, right? That's a nice big old hammer. Definitely a lot more bullish in these last 2 candles here, where we're actually closing in the lower third of the candle. Same thing here. Here, we've sucked up, and this is a massive hammer. So that's it. And then the base case here. So now that we've actually got through, number one, again, there is no alternative. We know that. There is no alternative. Stop fighting it. The test up to 454.05. And then again, the bulls and bears fought intraday. And what? The bulls won. And now we have OPEX and quarterly chop, which again, I think is going to feed through to Friday. Remembering that today was the only non-OPEX day. So tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, there is enhanced motivation to manipulate and either get paid or not get paid. And then we have the potential for a relief rally, which we got a preview of today when we hear the US actually say that we believe this is actually happening. Again, they're saying that listen to words, but trust actions. And with that in mind, I encourage you to watch the video that's going to queue up here in a moment if you want to know more about the bull case for 2020 and beyond. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you on tomorrow. Quick reminder, I also forgot to say that on Friday, we're going to do a live stream for the close. Friday close live stream. So if you want to tune in for that, we will schedule that video shortly on the channel. But otherwise, watch the video that will queue up here. And we look forward to seeing you either tomorrow, on Thursday, or on Friday for that live stream. Thank you very much.